Hi everyone. So we're back for chapter 4 of WYSIWYG by Malorie Blackman. So we've been reading so far about young Ben, who's discovered a strange creature in his bedroom. We found out that this little creature is called WYSIWYG and that she's from another planet, and that she's also able to grant wishes, but only if you wish them by accident. I wonder what's going to happen next. So this chapter is chapter 4 and it's called Flapping at Both Ends. When Ben woke up the next morning, the sun was shining. He could hear birds singing, and it was Sunday, the best day of the week. Ben lay still for a moment, trying to remember something important. Ben, come downstairs for your breakfast, Mum called out. Ben sniffed the air. Bacon and toast. Brill! Coming, Mum, he called back. He threw back his duvet and leapt out of bed. Unfortunately, WYSIWYG had chosen just that moment to roll out from beneath the bed. Ben stepped on WYSIWYG and went flying backwards. Luckily, he landed on his duvet. I would appreciate it if you did not step on my head first thing in the morning, WYSIWYG declared. She rose up to hover just above Ben. Sorry, WYSIWYG, Ben grinned. I must admit, I almost thought I'd dreamt you. How are you? My primary energy has returned, thank you, WYSIWYG replied. And how are you? Hungry. I'm going down for my breakfast, Ben said. Why don't you check your ship or something until I get back? Nope. I think I will watch you eat, WYSIWYG decided. Before I came to your planet, I had never seen creatures eating. It is most interesting. Don't you eat then? Ben asked, surprised. Not like humans, said WYSIWYG. I live on wishes. Oh, I see, said Ben. He couldn't imagine not having to eat. He would miss chips and bacon and ice cream too much. Well, if you do come downstairs, just make sure that Mum and Dad don't see you, Ben added. They have not seen me yet, have they? WYSIWYG winked. Tarzan has. You'd better keep out of his way, Ben warned. Do not worry. Wherever Tarzan goes, I will not follow. Ben ran downstairs with WYSIWYG bouncing down behind him. Just as he reached the hall, the doorbell rang. WYSIWYG bounced up above the door and floated just below the ceiling. You can't stay there, Ben hissed frantically. Someone will see you. They will not. No one is going to look up here, WYSIWYG replied. Ben wanted to argue, but the doorbell rang again. After a nervous glance directed at WYSIWYG, Ben opened the door. Hello, Ben. Are your Mum and Dad in? Ben groaned. It was Mrs. Florence Leonard from next door. Mum and Dad called her Flapping Florence when they thought Ben wasn't around to hear them. Mrs. Leonard was the most gossipy busybody in the world, and she was always spreading rumours. Ben, who is it? Dad came out of the kitchen. Oh, he said faintly. Oh, hello, Mrs. Leonard. Dad didn't look too pleased to see their neighbour either. Hello, Mrs. Sinclair. Mrs. Leonard pushed Ben aside and walked into the house. Is that bacon I smell? She pushed past Dad and walked into the kitchen. Ben looked at Dad, and Dad looked at Ben, and they both wrinkled up their noses. Hello, Mrs. Sinclair, Mrs. Leonard said to Ben's mum. I really shouldn't, but some bacon and toast would be most welcome. Hello, Mrs. Leonard. Have a seat. Mum tried to smile. And I'll have a nice cup of tea as well, if you're asking, said Mrs. Leonard, plonking herself down at the kitchen table. Did you hear anyone ask, Ben? Because I didn't, Dad muttered. Ben's mum gave him a warning look. Ben glanced up. WYSIWYG was outside the kitchen, still floating just below the ceiling. Ben was sure his heart would burst through his chest at any second. What if someone should see WYSIWYG? What would happen then? I can't stay too long, Mrs. Leonard said. Thank goodness for that, Dad mumbled. Mum gave Dad another look. Mum had good ears, even if Mrs. Leonard didn't. Mrs. Leonard pulled a plate of bacon and beans on toast towards her. Delicious, she said, tucking in. Ben watched with dismay as what looked suspiciously like his breakfast disappeared down his next-door neighbour's throat. I just popped round for a chat. Mrs. Leonard dusted some toast crumbs off the table in front of her. How are all of you? But before anyone could even open their mouths to reply, Mrs. Leonard started. Have you heard? Mrs. Johnson from number 52 has got a new car again. That must be the third new car this year, and summer has barely started yet. Where does he get the money from? That's what I'd like to know. Mrs. Leonard was well away now. And Mrs. Vester has bought her Sarah a new tricycle. If you ask me, she spoils that daughter of hers. Ben, come on, Mum said. I'll take you upstairs for your shower. Mum pushed Ben out of the kitchen. Dad tried to follow. No, you stay here and keep Mrs. Leonard company, Mum smiled sweetly. Dad didn't look best pleased, to say the least. Mum followed Ben up the stairs. All that woman does is gossip, gossip. She doesn't even pause to draw breath, Mum muttered. She talks so much her tongue must be hinged in the middle so it can flap at both ends. That way, if one end gets tired, the other end can take over. Mum, what about my breakfast? Ben said, dismayed. He didn't care about hinged and flapping tongues, but he did care about his breakfast. I'll make you some more after you've had your shower, Mum said. Ben could see that Mum was still fuming about their neighbour. Ben decided to ask Dad to cook his breakfast. In her current mood, Mum would only burn it. Do you know, I wish that woman's tongue was hinged in the middle, said Mum, and I wish that when she started gossiping, one half of her tongue would tell her off every time the other half of her tongue got started. And that's when the trouble began. I wonder what's going to happen next. And the next chapter, chapter 5, is called It's Not Me. So we'll find out what happens with Wysiwyg and Ben and Mum and Dad and Mrs. Leonard in the next chapter. See you next time. Bye.